So that's a report, viewers, that you just saw that helps you understand why Tawang and why this is not a one-off incident, why there is a larger strategic plan in place. Let me also say good evening to Captain Bansal Saab, who's joining us right now. He's the director of the India Foundation, also security analyst. Sir, thank you so much for speaking to us on Republic. I'm sure you also have a view on how the story has panned out. Now, the opposition is asking that if this incident happened on the intervening night of the 8th and the 9th, why did it take so long for the government to speak up? Why did it take so long for the Raksha Mantri to speak in the parliament? Do you believe that question today is more important versus the fact that today it has to be an Indian response to this brazenness by Beijing?
See, firstly, politicians must understand what the process is. When this incident happens, it's actually a ground level troop which comes in contact with the Chinese and the skirmish takes place. Then the immediate bosses actually try to investigate what has happened because you would want to give a correct picture to the superior authorities. And in those areas where there are no mobiles, there are no communications, troops which are on foot patrol, very often it takes days for communication to move up. And then when this one superior reports and he gives the report to his next superior, which analyzes it in the light of what is happening across. Whatever input I have is that as soon as this particular tension happened, I think before this itself, the Indian Army had moved to the forward positions. And I think this particular incident was countered very, very effectively by them. And I think politicking on such issues is not good. Though the politicians need to be aware of what's happening, that's very, very essential. The politicians must take interest in what's happening in the field of defense. But unnecessary politicking and to belittle army's role should not be there. We need to understand that this sort of issues will happen and have been happening on line of actual control, primarily because the perception of LAC between the two sides is different, and both sides have been patrolling according to their estimations of LAC, and this brings each other into direct confrontation at times. And there is a set pattern for disengaging in this case. In this particular case, the superior authorities have very, very successfully diffused it by following the set procedures as to how the two forces should disengage. Now, why this incident happened? There could be a large number of issues. One is, of course, China has been seeing turbulence for some time. Maybe Xi Jinping wanted to distract attention. Though in Chinese case, an incident with India does not really distract attention to that extent. If distraction was the case, then Taiwan or some other issue would have been far more important. But secondly, a large number of Chinese troops are inexperienced
I think
and
that's
they
a fair
patrol.
point. Captain Bansal, why don't you push that point a little further? And, you know, just for the benefit of our viewers, we've accessed this satellite imagery that we see on our screens right now. And this is, you know, a clear commentary, especially for those who said, where is the deployment? India wasn't prepared. Now, why don't you tell us, sir, in a real-time situation like what our forces are dealing with, especially in the Tawang sector, where the winters are so very harsh, and we can't even fathom the kind of conditions our forces right now there are stationed in. At a point like this, you know, on the other side, where you have an enemy like Beijing that continues to repeat the same mistake again and again, gets a bloody nose but never learns the lesson, what is it that India should do going ahead?
India, as far as I am concerned, India in the recent
past has gone really doing very well as far as building infrastructure is concerned. And one of the most significant developments is Trans-Arunachal roadways, which is being built east-west. Now, this is a very, very important highway which is coming up along the line of actual control close to the international border, because we need to understand that other than Kameng sector where Tawang is, all other Arunachal has valleys which are north to south, and it is virtually impossible to go from one valley to another. Now, if this highway comes through, Indian Army would be in a position to deploy forces from one valley to another. So, as far as infrastructure is concerned, that we are doing very well, and we are doing it rather late, but we are doing a good job, and I think very soon we'll have reasonably good infrastructure. But what is important is that we need to avoid this sort of pinpricks, and for that I think we need to pressurize China and tell them that we need to delineate the line of actual control on map and demarcate it on ground. Now, if China is not ready to do it, I think we
Okay.
could unilaterally promulgate the line of actual control. We can say, according to us, this is the line of actual control, and then let China counter it or say something. That could be one way of doing that, so that this sort of an ambiguity is actually eradicated and we have a peaceful border.
Okay, you say that, we should have a peaceful border, but I just want to know from you, I mean, in all our reading in the last few hours, all the experts that we've spoken to, no one believes that China today is even inclined to have any kind of solution to the border dispute, because this is an issue that even helps China, somewhere garner a lot of that national sympathy back home. It serves as a distraction. And it is still, trying to gain a lot of control, particularly in this Indo-Pacific area. You've seen its issues with Vietnam, with Indonesia, in the South China Sea. So this is a pattern with China, is that not?
See, I don't think so. Some of your experts may have said so, but please understand, when you go to China, visit China, meet in Chinese people, 80 to 90% people are unaware of 62. So leave aside these minor skirmishes. Now, these minor skirmishes will no way distract attention as far as Chinese leadership is concerned. If they have to distract attention, they can actually attack on Kinmen Islands, have a missile firing across Taiwan. That would distract attention to a far greater attention, because that would bring the West into the play. But these incidents, these pinpricks along India, may have a tactical interest of actually testing India's preparedness and to probably unsettle India. I personally feel at this point of time, neither China nor India is interested in a conflict. It doesn't suit China, nor does it suit India to have a conflict at this point of time. But the troops on ground have their own inclination, and especially in case of China, the troops are actually untrained. They come for a very, very short duration military service. They have never served in this area, and the line of actual control is not delineated. So they go as per their perception, and very often they transgress. And this could be a genuine mistake as well. But because the way it was resolved by the higher leadership of the two countries shows that it could have been a genuine mistake. But as I said, in the past, our military preparedness was not adequate. Now our infrastructure that's coming up, both in East and as well as in West, is good. And we are in a position to give a befitting reply. And that's why we saw that as soon as Chinese made contact with the line of actual control, our troops were there. And they gave them a befitting reply. They were forced to withdraw, and that's been happening. Now,
All right.
Politicians asking why the delay has taken
Always
place,
interesting
they need
to
to
have different
understand
point
the
of view,
military
sir.
mechanism, how reporting
But like
takes place.
I said, this statement that has come in from the Raksha Mantri is actually stressing on the fact that unilaterally there was an attempt to change the status quo at the LAC. So was this just an inadvertent error? The jury is out on that, though. I beg to disagree with you on that. But, sir, thank you for your time, your wisdom here in helping us understand this entire picture. But just taking a leaf out of what we just discussed, viewers, the point is, why would China want to do this again and again and again? Why would China want to be humiliated at the hands of India again and again?